Hey guys, so in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how and why you want to be harvesting your red raspberry leaves. So for one reason, it is really amazing to me anytime that we can grow a type of food at home that can serve two purposes. So of course, if you have got your red raspberries, you are going to be getting raspberries, which we all know and love. They're a great fruit and a great food to have. But if you are more natural minded and building up a natural medicine cabinet and learning how to use herbs and that type of thing, then you have got a great herbal remedy and crop growing right alongside, or it's growing with your raspberries because it is the raspberries. It's your red raspberry leaf. So let me know in the comments below if learning how to use herbal remedies and building up a natural medicine cabinet, especially from things that you can grow at home, is of interest to you. Let me know that in the comments below. So your red raspberry leaf has got so many great properties. And so we're going to be harvesting it to make a tea out of it, which is my favorite way and probably one of the easiest ways that you can use this herb in your natural medicine cabinet. So one of the things about red raspberry leaves that are fabulous is it is packed with antioxidants. It's got lots of vitamins and different minerals in there. Specifically, you've got good doses of vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin A, vitamin Bs, you've got magnesium, you have potassium, you have calcium, and you also have phosphorus. You've got trace minerals of zinc, iron, and chromium. Then you've got a lot of antioxidants as well as tannins, flavonoids, and the alkaloid. I'm not even sure how you actually pronounce this one. I think it's fragrine, but what it does specifically is that helps to tone the smooth muscles in the body. So red raspberry leaf is really known as the woman's herb, but it also can help boost the immune system and it can be consumed by guys as well. But it's really known as the woman's herb. Now, full disclosure, I am not a certified herbalist. I don't have any medical training, so don't consider this medical advice and or diagnosis. And if you are pregnant, have any diseases, or are on any medications, before you're using herbs, check with your doctor and or your pharmacist, okay? Okay, we got that part out of the way. But as I said, red raspberry leaf has been used for hundreds and hundreds of years and is really known as a woman's health herb. So it can definitely help. A lot of people like to use it during that time of the month, but they usually consume it on a daily basis and make a tea out of it because it can help to with hormone issues, which a lot of us ladies out there deal with different hormone issues. And it can also help when it comes to your cycle. It helps to tone the uterus. And we've got all of those great vitamins and those tannins and those flavonoids. And when it helps with the uterus and the smooth muscles and toning those, then it can help, of course, with painful cramps and those type of issues. So that's why a lot of people use red raspberry leaf, and it's kind of knowing as like the woman's powerhouse herb. Now, of course, with pregnancy and breastfeeding and all that type of stuff, you're going to want to check with your midwife or your doctor on using it. But it also can help aid with digestion. So those smooth muscles, you want to think of our intestines. And so a lot of people will use it for digestion or to help aid if they have diarrhea, to help with those type of things. So it can be, it's used for a lot of different reasons, but those are just some of the reasons that people like to use red raspberry leaf tea. Now, with your red raspberry leaves, when do you want to harvest it? So ideally, you want to harvest it in the early part of the day after the dew has burnt off, but before you have a lot of really hot sunlight, because that's when you're going to have the highest concentration in the leaves of the natural oils and everything. So that's really ideally when you're going to want to be harvesting most of your herbs, is you want to do it in the earlier part of the day, because that is when we have those great oils that are in the leaves before they have gotten really hot. Then they kind of go back into the root of the plant and they go out of the leaves back into the stems. And so we're really after the leaves when we're harvesting. Earlier in the springtime is better, before it has blossomed out and before it's begun to bloom, because then the leaves tend to get a little bit more bitter and astringent tasting. So I'm going to be harvesting mine right now, which is the end of May. Ideally, I would have harvested a little bit earlier, but you've got a little bit of a leeway there. So here you can see the leaves on the raspberry plant, and you can see that I've got quite a few of the buds here. And they haven't opened yet, but ideally, if you can do it even earlier before they've got the buds, but definitely before they open, that's gonna be the best time of year to harvest them. And then you're gonna wanna look at, so this is the younger, lighter colored and smaller leaves, whereas you can tell this one is a lot larger, it's more dark green. These are the older ones. So I like to go for the younger ones that are a little bit lighter in color. And so I'm just gonna, you can just pick these off. And when your raspberry is young, like this on these younger, newer leaves, you're gonna have more of the thorns, and they're not as bad as blackberry thorns, but you got like little rough, raspy parts, hence the name of raspberry here. But out on these more immature parts, you don't have that, so I'm not wearing gloves for this part, and I can just use my thumbnail and just pick that part off. So there we go. And then I just bring out my dehydrating trays because I'm going to be dehydrating these leaves. And I bring the trays out and I just harvest and pick my leaves and put them right on here, so I know how much I need to fill up my trees and that I don't harvest any more than that. So there we've got 2 trays totally filled up. So some of the common questions that I get when it comes to harvesting your red raspberry leaves is, how much should you take off, and does that affect the actual harvest that you get of berries? Well, no, it doesn't, because your raspberries, the blossoms are what form the fruit, and you're not removing any of the blossoms, you're just removing the leaves. Now, of course, you don't want to strip all of the leaves off of your red raspberry plant because the plant actually needs the leaves for photosynthesis and to help feed it back. But a raspberry plant is very prolific. It has a lot of leaves on there. So it would be very hard for you to strip an entire plant of the leaves. Like, there's no need to do it. So I would say probably don't remove more than 1/3 of the leaves, but you're going to get plenty of harvest of the leaves without affecting the plant. Now, what do the leaves taste like? Do they taste like raspberries? Sadly, no. I wish that they did taste like raspberries, but if you want it to taste like raspberries, all you need to do is just add a few bits of your raspberries to it, and then it will totally flavor it like the raspberries. But the leaves themselves, a lot of people like to say they taste kind of like black tea. Personally, I don't think it tastes as strong as black tea at all. I think it mimics a little bit more of like a green tea. I don't think it has the astringentness, or I hate to say bitterness, because I don't really think black tea is bitter, but I don't think that the red raspberry leaves have quite that much of a flavor as regular black tea, but it just tastes like an herbal tea. It's good, but it doesn't have a big flavor punch to it like if you're adding the raspberry fruit. So we've got 2 trays full of our red raspberry leaves, and whenever I am dehydrating any type of herbs or leaves, I always like to do them at the lowest possible temperature, which is 95 degrees Fahrenheit, to keep them raw and just all of those great properties. So we are going to get these going and get them dehydrated. The red raspberry leaves have been in the dehydrator at 95 degrees Fahrenheit for about 8 hours. So it's going to depend on how much the moisture content you actually had in the leaves by how much moisture you've had when you are harvesting them, onto how long they're going to dry. For me, these ones took about 8 hours. So we just let them go overnight. Anytime you're dehydrating any food, as it dries, it's going to shrink up and become a lot smaller. So here we have our 2 trays that are a lot smaller of our raspberry leaves. How do you know when they are fully dehydrated? One of the easiest things to tell if they've reached their fullness on their dehydration with leaves is just to see they'll be curled up and they'll be crunchy. And I always store pretty much everything, dehydrated or canned or even fresh food, in a mason jar. So just take it between your fingers and see if it crumbles and crunches. So if it crumbles to the touch like that, you know it is ready to go and it's fully dehydrated. There you have it. We have a pint jar here of our dehydrated red raspberry leaves. Oh, I missed one. Now you've got several different options. I use the Tatler lids, and this has the gasket. So these are reusable canning lids. And I like this because it has a thicker rubber gasket than what you're going to find on a regular metal canning lid. So you just put that like so. And then I put that on top. And then you just use a regular canning band and you tighten that down. Now this doesn't make it totally airtight, but I found that it works pretty good. If you have a vacuum sealer, you can use the mason jar attachment and make it completely airtight to store this on the shelf. But like this, it will last on the shelf for up to a year. And so you can use your dried raspberry leaves to make your tea whenever you wish. So how much of the dried red raspberry leaf do you use when you make tea? For me, if I'm making just a straight cup of red raspberry leaf tea from the dried raspberries, then I use 1 tablespoon of the dried leaves to a regular 8 ounces of hot water. Now, if you want more info on how to plant and raise your own raspberries, I have got videos walking you through that. I'll make sure and put the link in the description below, and they'll also pop up at the end of this video so you can watch those and get your own red raspberries growing. Make sure, if you enjoyed this video, that you do hit subscribe and that little bell so that you get notified every time we have a brand new video that comes out on Wednesdays. And let me know in the comments below this video what you guys would like to see next and you would like more help with growing and or learning about using natural remedies in a homemade medicine cabinet.